about a couple of things. So this, we know we have the equation negative b plus or minus, I'm going to make it a capital B so we can tell. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, right here, I'm going to highlight it. This is called the discriminant. This is called the discriminant.
Why are we discriminating?
So I'm going to tell you why this is useful, why the discriminant is useful. So if we have b squared minus 4ac, if it is 0, what's the square root of 0?
0.
And when I add anything to 0, does it change that number? If I say 5 plus 0, is it still 5?
Yes.
Okay, so 0 means we're going to get just one answer. It means that my graph looks like this, where it's just sitting on the line. It only crosses the x-axis in one spot, just sitting there. Okay, it could be upside down too, like that, just touching it. All right, if we get b squared minus 4ac is less than 1, less than 0. So if we get that it is a negative, what happens? What's the square root of a negative number? No real solution.
I didn't know that.
Okay? So it'd be like this. It's hanging out. Right? Or like this. You know, it's just hanging out there, never crosses. So if we get b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, how many answers do we have?
Multiple.
2. Because then it looks like this. It's like crossing that x-axis in 2 places. So we can have one answer, no real solutions, or 2 answers. And it all depends what happens under the square root sign. We okay with this?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to try a couple of different problems.
Let's try number 1.
Let's do 13. We're going to do 13 and 14 on the back.
With or without the answers? Not the sheet.
I mean, it's the one with the answers. Okay? So we're going to look at number 13. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is label A, B, and C. Is it equal to 0, first of all?
Yes.
Okay. So what's my A value?
5.
My B value?
3.
And my C value?
1.
Okay. And remember, I'm going to put it right above. We've got negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. Okay? So that's negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 3 squared minus 4 times 5 times 1 all over 2 times 5. Okay, so let's do the discriminant. Let's do this part right here first. Put it in your calculator. What do you got? I'm going to say 3 squared minus 4 times 5 times 1. What do I get? That one.
I get negative 11.
Okay. What did you guys get?
Negative 11.
All right, so it says negative 3 plus or minus the square root of negative 11 all over, we can say it's 2 times 5 is 10. So let's stop right here. How many solutions am I going to have? Am I going to have 1, 2, or none?
None.
None. So I can stop right there. No real solution.
Because I just
But can we find the square root of a negative? So put that in your calculator. Square root of negative 11. It says non-real calculation.
Oh, so
Well, it says right there at the bottom.
It does that too.
So you could use this way for the homework for last night?
Yeah.
This uses a lot less space.
So far. Let's do number 14.
I know the answer.
Well, I do all know the answer. But you know what? I don't care as much about the answer as I do about the process.
Yeah.
So let's say you got the answer wrong, but did everything up until the last step. You're going to get like 4 out of 5 points for this. Let's say you just wrote down the answer, you're going to get 1 out of 5 points for that. You want to show your work. Let's do number 14. First of all, is this in ax squared plus bx plus c form?
No.
So I got to add the 125 to both sides, right?
What?
I need to have one side equal to be 0. So I get 5x squared plus 50x plus 125 equals 0.
So equals 0, so that's it's 1 answer.
So it's not because it's what's underneath the square root sign. We haven't done that part yet.
Okay.
What's A?
5.
What's B?
50,
What's C?
125.
Okay. So you should have this on your paper. This equation up here, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So let's put it in. We get negative 50 plus or minus the square root of 50 squared minus 4 times 5 times 125 all over
2 times
5.
5.
Okay, let's do under the discriminant first. 50 squared minus 4 times 5 times 125. What do you get?
Times 5 times what?
125.
0.
0. So how many solutions is there going to be? 1. So I get negative 50 over 10. What's negative 50 over 10 give us? Negative 5. So x equals negative 5. I'm done.
Wait, what? Okay. What happened to everything else? You got a 0, okay.
What's the square root of 0?
Oh, you took negative 50. Okay, never mind.
You good?
Yep.
Okay.
Wait. It's just everything in the square root is poof, gone.
Negative 50 over 10. I got lost.
So we get that we put this on my calculator, right? This part right here.
Yes, that equals.
And I got 0, right? So I still have negative 50 left over.
Alright.
I'm not going to plus or minus 0 because that's the same thing, right? All over 2 times 5 is 10. So if I did this,
Oh, I see.
would that help?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Okay. Let's do one more. Let's do 10. Let's do 10. Okay, what's A?
2.
Oh, can I do it right now?
No, you have to
I have to subtract 14x from both sides, right? 2x squared minus 14x, good Caleb, plus 23 equals 0. Okay?
Now you
Now I can do it. A equals,
2.
B equals, negative 14, C equals.
23.
Okay, let's write it out. Negative b, so negative minus 14, plus or minus the square root of negative 14 squared minus 4 times 2 times 23, all over 2 times a. Let's do what's underneath the discriminant first. See how many options I have. Negative 14, make sure you put that in parentheses when you put it in your calculator. Squared minus 4 times 2 times 23 gives me 12. So I'm going to change a negative and a negative to a positive. Plus or minus the square root of 12 all over 4.
Where was the were the parentheses necessary on the negative 14?
Yes, because if you just put negative 14 squared into your calculator, it gives you a negative 196, not a positive,
How do you know when to put the parentheses?
when there's a negative.
Oh,
There's going to be 2 answers.
2 answers. Good. Caleb said it. 2 answers.
So when you
Because
see at the
this is
bottom-
a positive answer inside the square root.
So then it would be just like whatever answer you just changed one. to
Okay.
positive.
Yep, so we've got 14 plus square root 12 over 4 and 14 minus square root 12 over 4. But can we simplify? What's the biggest number that goes into 12 that is a perfect square? 4. So we've got the square root of 4 times 3, which is 2 square root 3, right? So I'm going to change both of these to 2 square root 3. 14 plus 2 square root 3 over 4. And 14 minus 2 square root 3 over 4. Okay, last step. Can I simplify? Okay, sorry.
No. Yes, maybe so.
What goes into 14, 4, and 2 evenly? 14, 4, and 2. 2. Which is why I get 7 plus square root 3 over 2. And 7 minus square root 3 over 2. Yep.
2 goes into 14, 7.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just.
All right, I'm going to say you guys should switch to your homework and do that. Remember, do the discriminant first. It tells you how many answers you got, and I think it goes quicker. Do the discriminant first.
Except first one confuses me. So, this, okay,
So A is 1,
Oh,
B is -4,